People buy on emotion, right? And they buy ideas. They don't buy strategies. And so even with big partnerships, I've had a lot of success with this, and I learned this in advertising. You know, the advertising world are the absolute masters at, because it's all we do, right? We sell ideas.
Yep.
And so when you sell an idea to a client, and they're the most fragile things in the world.
Yeah. No, it's funny you said, 95% don't work, right? And I think I commented, I had a bit of banter with you the other week. You know, partnerships sort of remind me of that salesperson who's always about to close the big deal, but, never does. And I find partnerships have a very high failure rate as well. They have these very long negotiation phases, and everybody's on board. And then it's sort of like legal gets involved, and because it touches every single department, often at both companies, they could just have this extended sort of like maceration over years, and then it just falls apart. And I was working in Silicon Valley for a startup, and they were trying to do a partnership with Yelp at the time. And, this ex-consultant was, going to close the big deal, and, 2 years later, well, still hasn't closed, and I think it's been scuttled. But, it's all full of promise to start with. And why do you think sort of those failures happen? Like, is it just some of the things you mentioned before? Is there any sort of like do's and don'ts here in particular can avoid failure?
People buy on emotion, right? And they buy ideas. They don't buy strategies. Mm-hmm. And so even with big partnerships, I've had a lot of success with this, and I learned this in advertising. The advertising world are the absolute masters at, because it's all we do, right? We sell ideas.
Yep.
And so when you sell an idea to a client, and they're the most fragile things in the world, right? An idea can be broken apart, die 1,000 cuts. But a really powerful idea, when you pitch an idea to a client and they just light up around it. I did this thing for Telstra years ago. It was the Olympics, the London Olympics, and they were the key sponsors, and we pitched them, and they already had basically their sponsorship strategy worked out for what they were going to do and how they were going to activate. We kind of thought it was lame what they were going to do. So we pitched them this idea, which was basically, it was like, look, this is the Super Bowl moment for you. And you're going to have all this airtime on Channel 9. You have to have something that lights people up. And so we're going to re-record Land Down Under. That's the idea. Right? And so we pitched this idea of re-recording Land Down Under in the Super Bowl moment, and everybody's going to love what your brand does at halftime. And that sort of thing, right, can survive 1,000 cuts.
Okay.
Because everybody mobilizes around, I want to be part of that. The first big deal I sold for Uber was with Optus, and we did Uber Umpire on Australia Day, where you could get a Test cricket umpire delivered to your backyard for 2 overs.
To your backyard cricket.
2 overs is backyard cricket. Yeah.
What, like a real umpire?
It was tight. Yeah, a real Test cricket umpire. It was umpire on demand, but it was much bigger. It was 10 times bigger than anything that ever been done by Uber before, and everybody bought into that. That's the number one differentiator, right? You need to find a way to electrify, and you do it through an idea. And so, what the ad guys and girls do, is they name the idea. So a strategy gets a name. It's still just a strategy, right? But it ends up being called an idea.
Project, like operation, whatever, or project, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. I did this one for Canon when I was at Facebook, and they were launching a DSLR, and we had to go out and pitch our media plan to 20 people from the agency and Canon, and our idea was sunsets.
Everybody likes sunsets.
Well, exactly right. And you're just like, well, what the hell is that about? And so it was just a normal media strategy, right? It had 1,000 different moving pieces. But the strategy was, no one cares about DSLRs because they've got a camera in their pocket. Right? The only time a DSLR shines is in low light conditions. One of those is sunsets. You're going to own sunsets in newsfeed. We started the pitch with, I don't know if you know the Powderfinger song, Sunsets.
Yeah.
So we started the pitch with that. So we're out there to present a media plan. We said, we've got an idea for you. Yeah, we've got the media plan, but we've got an idea. And I'm like, does anybody want to hear our idea? And the whole room's silent. And nobody said anything.
That's a yes.
I'm still standing up and go, but it's a really cool idea. Does anybody want to hear it? And somebody finally said, yeah, I want to hear your idea. And I said, great, it's called Sunsets. Ross, play the music. And boom. We haven't even started anything. And Powderfinger's screaming out Sunsets. And so out of that meeting, everybody in that room went back to their desk, went home that night. And
stewed on the idea. Yep.
Yeah, and they could say, "Oh, we're going to do this thing called Sunsets with Facebook," and suddenly we got like probably 10x what we would have got out of the media budget for that idea. The same strategy would have just